This is Eddie Smith at Also Films, and I'm starting an advice line. I have 40 years experience in the electronic trade. I got my City and Guilds in finals in 1970. Any questions on modern technology, digital television, tune-in, etc.? I get asked all the time. So I'm sure there's a lot of you out there would like to know some of these things. For this first chat, I'm just going to tell you one or two things that's probably going to upset the repair industry quite a bit, because surprise, surprise, there's some old wives' tales around, and I'm going to give you a few tips on things that you can do for yourself. They may seem strange, and first of all, we'll start off with remote controls. I have quite a lot of trouble with remote controls. Do you have trouble with remote controls? Well, if you're always losing them, what I've come up with is a little bit of Velcro stuck to the back of the remote control, and a stick of Velcro stuck either on the telly or on the wall or something near the telly, so that you can put all your remote controls on there. I still lose them, but it's great help. Another thing about remote controls, you probably have a lot of trouble with them not working occasionally. This is mainly caused by grease and dirt getting into the works and all that. Now, here comes the big shocker. The cure is very simple. Washing up water as if you were going to wash up hand-hot with the old fairy liquid or whatever liquid you use, and dump your remote controls that are giving trouble into it. In fact, it doesn't matter whether they're giving trouble or no, it'll do them good. And you soak them in this. I know it sounds stupid, but believe me, it's not. Anything that's low voltage, it's okay to put in water. And the warm, soapy water will remove any grease and dirt. One of the problems is contacts inside the DVDs, inside the remote controls. But the most important thing to remember is getting them dry after you've finished. You don't even need to take them apart to do it. Just put them in a bowl of water and let them soak for whatever you think, maybe 10-15 minutes. Shake them around a bit in the water, get them well and truly soaked. Then rinse in warm, non-soapy water, and then shake as much of the moisture you can out of them, and then you can leave them stand to drain for a while, and use a hairdryer on them to dry them out, and to be on the safe side, not to use them till the next day. The reason being that they must be completely dry before you start using them, because there are things you can damage if they're still moist. In the case of remote control, if it's faulty and you can't do anything about it, you'd probably throw it away, so you got nothing to lose. Secondly, this can also be done with transistor radios. Ever spilt coffee over your keyboard? Or my sister dropped her transistor radio into the sea. Salt water, it's lethal. I washed it under the tap and took it home, washed it in soap water, dried it out. Worked perfectly. Sometimes you may find things work better after a good soak. But the important thing is to make sure they're completely dry before you use them. And of course, remove the batteries before you do it, and don't put them back until it's completely dry. And I think you'll have quite a shock. I've recently had trouble with a Freeview set-top box. It is 15-year-old, so it's not surprising. And this one was a mains one, which you're not really, I wouldn't recommend that you do, because you don't have my knowledge in order to avoid it. But modern stuff has external power supplies. The older stuff used to have the power supply built into them. The power supply is that big back lump that you get on the end where you used to have a plug. That is the power supply. and it steps the mains down to a low voltage of 12 or less. And any equipment that uses these things, and that includes your laptop even, you can do this with. Have you ever tried keying a laptop keypad? It's the only way you can do it. But as I say, the important thing is to take the battery out, disconnect everything, and go through the same thing that you do with a remote control. Stand it up to dry it out, use a hair dryer to dry it. If you want, I don't leave it for a day, but to be on the safe side, you can leave it for a day. And my set-top box is working better now than I bought it. One of the problems with digital technology is that when you get dirt and that, information jumps from one pin to the other. The sort of results you get is changing channels when it shouldn't do, and let's see, picture breakup, and any kind of information that's jumping from one place to the other where it shouldn't go can cause problems, all sorts of problems. And when you do this procedure of washing them in water, it does actually cure them. And water is fairly inert. I mean, they do put a lot of rubbish in the water today. If you want to be on the safe side, use bottled water. I dare say there's quite a lot of people now having a really good laugh. But things like spilling your coffee over your keypad, if you got a separate keypad, that's dead easy to do. Just dump it in the sink, shake it out, dry it. The washing up liquid is one of the best things for removing grease there is. It's a very strong grease deterrent, and that's one of the reasons why it works. There are lots of ways you can dry them, the things. On a radiator, in a warm room. I always use an air dryer on them first, because that'll get most of it out. But if you want to dry it out completely, you have to spend about 10 minutes with it. And then after you've dried it, you must wait for it to cool down before switching it on. Another trick, if you've got problems with electronic equipment, is to bung them in the fridge or the freezer for a little while. You'll be amazed what that'll do to them. Problems with satellite receivers, the most simple way is just unplug them from the mains. Count to 10 and plug them back in again. Something like 50% of faults can be cured by that. And if you've paid for a call out at 25 quid or whatever, you're saving yourself a lot of money. As I say, the electronics repair industry is not going to be very happy with me if everybody starts doing this. And I'm quite sure a lot of you will. And that's about it. The thing is that you can do your car. Your car is 12 volts, low voltage. The reason is that although water conducts electricity at those sort of voltages, the 12 volts doesn't have enough power to force the electrons through water. I recently had a little accident. We had a monsoon, and I came around the corner and I drove my car into over a foot of water. Stalled everything. It was in the right state. Fortunately, it was a Volkswagen, and Volkswagens are airtight, and no water came in the car, but it completely flooded the engine. However, we left it by the road and went out with my brother with jump leads the same afternoon. Started up, no problem at all, drove it home. It's now got 25% more power. The steering is lighter. It changes gear easier. And the brakes work better. So, as well as electronic engineering, I've had experience in mechanical engineering prior to 1970. You probably know I'm not shy about my age. I'm 69, 70 shortly. And that's about it. I've got to stop now because the 10 minutes is up, and that's the limit for a recording on YouTube. Goodbye.